All right, guys, so as we're getting to our NFL Week 13 picks, predictions, previews, giving you my thoughts on all of these lines, make sure you follow along in the comment section below. It's a lot of fun seeing what you guys think, and sometimes it brings a whole new avenue of thinking to how a game will go or something that I just completely missed. So, first matchup we have this weekend are the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Tennessee, taking on their division rival, the Titans. So, the Titans, they're 4-0 at home. The Colts are on a 3-game winning streak, so something's got to break here. The tension's got to release either way. So, the Colts have not been good at stopping the run since Grover Stewart's been suspended. He's out one more week. He'll be back next week. And that's pretty worthy of noting here because the Titans, of course, they have Derrick Henry. You have Tajay Spears. You have some really good running backs that can really damage you in a big way. Now, you look at the last couple weeks, the Colts have struggled against Rachaad White. He struggled against Ramondre Stevenson before the bye. And I feel like it's kind of a whole different animal with Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry. Both of them are very talented backs. Both of them can make big plays at any given moment. So, but I still think the difference is going to be that Titans' offensive line and how poorly put together that line is. They have not played well. They're probably not going to play well, down the stretch of the season. They are what they are. And poor Will Levis, the first week when Will Levis was in there, his debut, he looked phenomenal, and that offensive line helped him out quite a bit, making big-time plays. It feels like as, time's going on, the offensive line is letting him down even more. So, but you do look at some of the weapons he has. I mean, Hopkins is awesome, right? Hopkins isn't really that deep threat. Do they have that deep threat? And to answer your question, surprisingly, they do. Chris Moore has made a lot of big plays in terms of deep passes, in terms of catching big passes and making big plays. He has like 23 yards per reception or something absolutely absurd like that. But I think the main difference in this game is going to be how, if you look at both of these teams, the teams are the best in the most important situations. Well, the best out of these two teams. The Colts are much better in the red zone offensively and defensively. And I think that's going to be the difference in this game. The Colts making that extra play in the red zone and just scoring the extra touchdown. I think that's what's going to be a difference in this game. Shane Steichen hasn't played at a really high level, has them playing really well. So I'm taking the Colts 24-20. But really, if the Colts really do struggle against the run this game, which they shouldn't, their defensive line has actually come alive this year. Their defensive line has played really well. Samson Ubakam has made big-time plays week in and week out. He's made game-ending plays. Almost did it against the Browns, and then he actually just did it last week versus the Bucs officially. So he's been doing a very good job. This defense line has been getting pressure, and that could be the difference in this game. Will Levis not really going to have time? Are they going to be able to, is this offensive line going to make room for the running backs to run? So that's why I'm giving the Colts the edge here. I'm taking the Colts 24-20. I wouldn't bet in this game personally. It is a divisional game, and I really think that this is a 50-50 game. Any team could win this one. Just because the Colts are the hotter team, it doesn't mean that the Colts are better. And, the Titans have been better at home, but last week, they did not really look good versus a one-win team in the Panthers. So, moving on to the next matchup here, we have the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Chargers. Is Bill Belichick getting a closer look at his future team here, maybe? I don't think so. I don't think Belichick is going to be going on Chargers. I see a lot of rumors. I don't think it's going to happen. But onto the game. The Chargers are better than their record, and their run defense has improved. Before this season, and in the beginning of the season, their run defense was by far the worst. But lately, I think the run defense has been average. It's been much better. Khalil Mack has been making plays on the line. With Joey Bosa going down, that's huge. Really, this Chargers team is much better than the record. I think coaching is a big issue. It's a big flaw, as we were just talking about. Bill Belichick might be looking at his new coaching job. I don't think he's going to go there. But, at the same time, looking at this game, I'm like, it's a win-win if the Chargers win or lose this game. Because if the Chargers lose this game, they will have no choice but to fire Brandon Staley. I think he's already going to get fired 100% in the offseason. Middle of the season, the Chargers don't really do that. But I think the Chargers absolutely do, cover. Absolutely. I think they should win by 10-plus points, really. But Chargers do Charger. They do screw things up. But the Patriots just aren't going to be able to hang with Justin Herbert and this Chargers team. I have the Chargers 31-13. Maybe a little bit bigger of a score gap and maybe a little more of a beat down than maybe a lot of people think or you initially might think it would be. But the Chargers have a good football team. Herbert is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He's top 3, top 4, top 5. He's great. He's phenomenal. The issue is his team around him and kind of the coaching. Like I do think they have some good pieces. And the Chargers are exponentially better in all phases of the game. You know, they're better across the board, 100%. There's no question about it. And then on top of that, the Patriots, you don't know if you're going to get Bailey Zappi. You know, the offensive line is a mess. You don't have anyone that can make plays. Defense isn't, you know, has been good, but a defense can only get you so far. Just ask the Jets. You know, their division rival, the Patriots. So, yeah, I'm taking the Chargers 31-13. Bad coaching or not, I think the Chargers should absolutely win by more than, 6 points, 100%. If they don't, yeah, you have some issues. If this game is close, you're going to have some issues. But I think, the way this game does stay close are if the Patriots run the football well and the defense still plays pretty good. I think there is a chance where the Patriots can keep this game close with running the football and such and such. But I think the Chargers are going to get out to a quick lead, and the Patriots aren't going to be able to run the football. And then it's just going to be turnover city with Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones. I have the Chargers 31-13 over New England. Next matchup on the slate are the New Orleans Saints and the Detroit Lions. So the Lions really scaring us the last couple weeks here. They got completely outplayed by the Bears. Very fortunate to win that game. And then you got completely outplayed by the Packers, and you couldn't come back. It was a little bit too late. Jared Goff has not looked good. I think teams are starting to get them figured out. But now, they kind of have a get-right game versus the Saints. The Saints, they're one of the more interesting teams in the NFL. If you look on paper, they have the potential and they have the ability to be a great football team. I still, even with all their problems and all the injury, I still think they're the better team in the NFC South and they should win it. But they just don't execute. The talent on the paper isn't translating to the field. And it's so bizarre and confusing with the Saints because they have such a darn good football team. They do they have really good corners. They have really darn good corners. Marshawn Lattimore's a beast. Isaac Yiadom has made big plays in there. They have big-time players at cornerback. They're only second behind the Cowboys in some kind of metric. I don't remember what it was, but they were second ranked in a really good category for cornerbacks and pass coverage. They have good safeties. Tyrann Mathieu is a beast. But now, with all the injuries and then, on top of that, I don't think I've ever seen a red zone offense as bad as the Saints. Their red zone offense is horrible. They can move the ball downfield, yeah, but they can't punch it in. Doesn't matter who they play, it feels like. And I think the Lions is kind of a get-right game. Now, I think the blemishes and what the Lions don't do well have been highlighted in the games that have been close or they've lost. And it seems like they're going to have weeks here and there where they're just going to lay a goose egg. Where they're just going to be like, these aren't the Lions we know this season. But their defense, teams are figuring out the defense. Can Jared Goff get back on track? The Lions, they should win this game comfortably. But we said that about the last two games. So we'll see what the Lions have here. I do think they win 31-20 because the Saints do have a lot of injuries. They do have a lot of problems going their way. Horrible red zone, horrible injuries. A lot of things just not going in their favor. And then put that on top of them just not being able to, bring the talent they have on paper and get it to translate to the field and get them to play well on the field. It's very confusing. They have a very good football team, and I think one of the big reasons why the Saints are really bad in the red zone is actually Derek Carr. Derek Carr was never good in the red zone, even with the Raiders. And the reason why is because Derek Carr does not have good footwork. And once you get into the red zone, timing and footwork matter 10x. And that's where he struggles. Sometimes he has an extra hitch in there he shouldn't have. Sometimes he, just the way his footwork is and, his timing is just not there. Like he's a good quarterback before you get into the red zone. Once you get into the red zone, Derek Carr isn't really good in the red zone. And I think the Lions are going to come back in this game and be like, even though it's in New Orleans, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, we want to win again. We're getting back on track, and they're going to do that against the Saints. So. All right, so next up you have the New York Football Jets at home taking on the Atlanta Falcons. I have the Falcons winning by 4, 20-16, and the reason being this Falcons offense will struggle to run the ball early on, but they're going to continue to pound the football, and then halfway through the third quarter, that run game should start breaking through. having that Jets defense just getting tired out and getting worn out. And I think that's what's going to be the difference in this game. The Falcons sticking with that run game, sticking with Bijan, sticking with Tyler Algier, or whoever the heck you're going to run with. They have like 3 or 4 running backs that can run the ball pretty well. I mean, the Falcons should win this game absolutely. Just don't let Desmond Ridder, I think the less amount of times you let Desmond Ridder drop back and be rushed by that pass rush, you will be fine. But the more you let that happen, the more opportunities you give this Jets defense to make a play. And that could be the difference in this game. That Jets defense making a big play and getting a defensive touchdown or setting up the offense in really good position. That could be a difference. But nonetheless, that Jets offense is just so horrible, so putrid, and I think that the defense is going to just unravel at some point and be like, yeah, you know what, man, this offense ain't doing crap, whatever, So, yeah, I have the Atlanta Falcons being up on the Jets 20-16, and I don't care who the quarterback is, Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle. There's not going to be much of a difference either way. So, yeah, I think this one's on the surface of it, it looks like it may be a tough game to predict. 2 defensive games, two teams you really don't know what you're going to get from offensively or defensively from either team, really. I mean, you know what you're going to get from the Jets offensively, but the Falcons are a little more of a wild card on both sides. But I think the Jets the Falcons are a bit more of a talented team. They can make that extra big player or two. Drake London finally getting going. So, yeah, I have the Falcons 20-16. Pretty simple one to predict in my opinion. It's easy to... All right, guys, so the next matchup we have here are the Pittsburgh Steelers at home taking on the Arizona Cardinals. So the biggest thing here is, what Steelers offense are we going to get? Are they still going to have that pump from getting rid of Matt Canada? Was he the issue? Kenny Pickett recorded his highest PFF grade of the season last week. He looked phenomenal. And, just watching the game, you could see he looked better. He looked more comfortable. He was, just making big plays, looking much better out there, doing what he does best. The Cardinals don't have a good defense. And then you look at their offense, it's like, what are you going to get from their offense? Are they going to look like the offense like they're going to start the game really well and then kind of get worse as the game goes on? Or is the offense going to find a way to be consistent throughout the entire week or the entire game? I don't really think so. The Steelers defense is pretty good. A really tough defense. They're going to get after Kyler Murray, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith. They have so many guys on the defensive line that can pressure the quarterback, and then the Steelers on top of that should be able to run the ball pretty well, which will limit the possessions that the Cardinals have. Cardinals, like I said, their defense is horrible. Their run defense isn't good. Their pass defense isn't good. All of it's bad. So the Steelers should be able to run the football really well. Will they have another big-time offensive game like 400-plus yards? I don't know about that. But the Steelers should absolutely be able to do enough to beat the Cardinals, run the football at Najee Harris or Jalen Warren, and get in the passing going with Kenny Pickett. Considering Matt Canada's gone, it seems like that was the answer, but we'll see. Is this going to last? If it's not going to, if it's not going to hit a brick wall this week, we'll see if it does in the future. From firing the coach, sometimes the team gets a pump, and they just find a way to play much better without him. But can the Steelers continue to do it? Can they continue to impress? Can Kenny Pickett continue to improve and be the quarterback that the Steelers want him to be? So. Yeah, I have Steelers 20-16, 4-point win for the Steelers. They're favored by 5.5. I think that's a bit much. I wouldn't touch it. Because you really don't know how that Steelers offense is going to play. They are playing a pretty bad offense, so or a really bad defense. So next up, Washington Commanders at home taking on the Dolphins. So the Commanders are given 9.5 points. That is a big spread, but that Commanders defense is so bad, so horrible, one of the worst. And the Dolphins are going to go back to beating up on the teams that they should beat, beating up on bad teams, putting up 40 plus, and then the defense is only getting better. So the Dolphins should, I would absolutely smash the Dolphins on this. Bet a lot of money on the, on the Dolphins covering. They absolutely should. No reason why they shouldn't, having their defense getting better every week so far, and then their offense has been looking pretty good. Obviously, they have Tyreek, Tua, and the offense is awesome, so they should have no issue. I would be shocked if the Dolphins do not put up 40-plus points in this game. But the Commanders' offense, can this be another game where they kind of get it going? Seems like Sam Howell and the Commanders get it going once in a while here and there. I mean, Sam Howell can only do too much, so much, man. The offensive line is horrible. I mean, every time he snaps the ball, Sam Howell, can't do anything, and then can't really run the ball either. But the only thing he has going for him is that he had some really good weapons, Terry McLaurin, Dotson, Samuel. He has some really nice weapons to play with there, but are you really going to be able to keep up with the Dolphins? Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Devon Achane. No, Achane is no. I'm not sure if he's going to be in this game, but is it really going to matter either way? The Dolphins should put up 40 plus, regardless of who is playing for the command or who is playing for them on offense or defense. Next up, you have the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos, one of the hottest teams in football, if not the hottest, in the Broncos, traveling to Houston, looking to extend their win streak and keep on winning and keep it going. And the Texans are looking to bounce back after a very disappointing loss to the Jaguars. The missed field goal at the end there, crazy missed field goal right off the bar, right off the field goal post. But I do have the Texans coming back and getting the win and cooling off these Broncos a little bit. And I think the difference is going to be a DeMeco's Ryans defense. I think the difference is going to be the Texans being able to run the football. I think that Broncos run defense is going to come back to life. And, how sustainable is it to continue to get the turnovers that the Broncos have been getting? Now, they have a lot of talent. They have a ton of talent, a really good football team, yeah. But, the Texans, they're going to get a couple turnovers themselves. They have a playmaking defense. They're going to let you move the ball, but then once you get to the red zone, you're going to have to play a little tougher. And, Russell Wilson has, he's looked really good. Cam Sutton has made big plays in the red zone. But this week, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think that the defense is going to be one of those weeks where they don't get all of those turnovers, and that's going to be a difference in this game. I think C.J. Stroud's going to make the extra play with one of their guys. And I think that the Texans should be able to absolutely run the football in this game, and I think that's going to be the difference. I think the Texans are going to run all over the Broncos defense, and then that's only going to open things up for C.J. Stroud a little more and such. So, yeah, I'm taking Texans 24-20 to cool down the piping hot Denver Broncos and the Texans to bounce back after a very disappointing divisional loss. I wouldn't really touch the spread here, though. 3.5 points, that's a lot, especially for a game with two teams that are actually very similar, in my opinion. So I think 3.5 points are a lot. I wouldn't touch it. Obviously, your decision, but wouldn't touch it with the 10-foot pole. All right, up next, Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Carolina Panthers. So I was really tempted, and I at first had the Panthers winning this game just because of the head coach change, just because of, firing the head coach, firing a few coaches. And, a lot of teams come out after a coach firing and they have that, and they have that extra fire in them. They have that extra little, zing to them, I guess you could call it. They just go out there and put it all on the line, and they just somehow play much better than they have been. But I don't think it's going to be enough versus the Bucs. The Bucs are going to be able to run the football. I think they're going to get after Bryce Young all day long. There's only so much Bryce Young can do, man, And, this is a big game for Bryce Young. I think he's going to have to try and have a good game. But at the same time, it's going to be tough for him because the offensive line is horrible. The Panthers' offensive line was one of those offensive lines when you're going up against, you're like, yeah, let's go. Our defensive line is going to get right this game. They're going to get it going. And hey, it wouldn't shock me with who the Bucs have on the defensive line getting after all day long. You have Shaq Barrett, you have Vita Vea, you have so many guys on that defensive line that can make plays, and poor Bryce Young isn't really going to have much time or nothing that he can really do back there. So I don't think, I solely just looked at the matchup. I think this is going to be one of those games, one of those instances where firing a head coach isn't really going to make the difference because the underlying issues, the problems are still there as they were, as they are with other teams. But I just think that the Buccaneers are the better football team. It's not a good matchup for the Panthers. So I have the Bucs winning it 23-16. Do they cover the spread? I think that's a big spread as well for this game, but it all depends on, if you think it's worth taking that spread because if you think it's worth taking the spread even though the other team's head coach was fired, you're just going to go up the matchup. I'm not doing it. I mean, I don't bet in the first place, so but I'm just giving my advice on what I would do here. You do you, but I wouldn't. Bucs win 23-16 over Carolina. Next up, on the Week 13 slate, we have the Rams and the Browns. So I have the Rams winning by 11 points here. They should absolutely cover this with no issues, 100%. The Rams are explosive. They are sneaky, and they are dangerous because they're an underdog. No one's talking about them. And coming into the season, did not think that this team would be anywhere near they are right now. Now, am I saying they're a great football team? No. Am I saying that they're awesome, that they're going to make a big run, they're going to make the Super Bowl? No. But I'm saying that this is a team that is sneaky. And with Matthew Stafford, you have Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams hitting his stride, finally coming back healthy. The Rams should win this game pretty comfortably, in my opinion. Kyron Williams should run all over this Browns run defense. The Browns are good in the passing defense. They're good, they have a good passing defense. But, the run defense is pretty bad. I've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks, even before everyone else started saying it, that this run, if there's one thing you can't do against this Brown defense, it is run against it. And, the Rams are going to do that. Kyron Williams has been a beast. And Kyron Williams, the Rams, they're going to run over the Browns. It's only going to open things up and make passing the football easier when with all those weapons you have. Should be no issue winning this football game. The Rams should win it very comfortably. Because, then you go to the Browns offense. Could that Browns offense make a couple of big plays? I don't even know if they could. I think Joe Flacco is starting this week. So, I guess, the Rams don't really have any film on how the Browns are going to want to play offense or, how that offense is going to look with Flacco. But, there's only so much Flacco can do. He can't really move. Arm strength isn't really there. He's older. He's a veteran. He's a crafty veteran, so maybe that could be a big plus for them, having some good receivers and the offensive line being decent. Maybe that could be the difference in this game. But I really don't think so. I really don't think it's going to be enough. And, yeah, I heard the Rams 27-16, favored by 3.5. I would absolutely take the Rams, put a lot of money on the Rams. They should absolutely win by more than 3 points. All right, guys, so the matchup of the week we have here. The Philadelphia Eagles at home taking on the San Francisco 49ers. And boy, oh boy, I can't wait for this one. This one's going to be a treat to watch. And one thing I was very surprised when I saw the line for this game is that the Niners are favored by 2.5 points. Now, I could see why. The Eagles are due for a loss. The Niners are winning 3 they won 3 in a row as well. But, the way the Eagles have played, man, they've gotten very fortunate. They've had some magic go their way. Down 10 points versus the Bills and the Chiefs, 2 very good football teams. Now, absolutely, you cannot take those games away from them. Being down 10 points, coming back both games, very impressive. It's impressive against 2 of some of the best teams in the league. But those 2 teams have had their fair share of issues, the Chiefs and the Bills. Now they're playing a football team. They're clicking again. They're clicking. They're dominating. And this is a team that the Eagles cannot mess around with. If you're down 10 points at some point in this game, it's not going to be fun coming back. If you're going to have some of these offensive drives where you're falling to sleep and you're not really getting the job done, it's going to be a tough game. You have to play. If the Eagles are to put a full game together this season, this has to be it. And the play calling has been kind of boring. They've the passing defense is one of the worst in the league. We saw it last week versus the Bills, and they've been fortunate in those 2 games as well. Let's not forget, Jake Elliott hit a 59-yarder in snow. Very difficult to do, very magical. And the chances of anyone making that kick are very low, even if it's Justin Tucker. Doesn't matter. And Jake Elliott is right there with him for best kickers in the league, but how often can you continue to win off of those things? How often can you continue to keep yourself in those games? Because this week, you're playing a team that's dominant in all 3 phases of the game. The defensive line is going to get after Jalen Hurts. The passing defense is very well coached. Very good football team. And the Niners are healthy. They are 100% healthy. Going up against an Eagles team that they're not really stumbling because they just beat two of some of the most talented teams in the NFL. Even though it may be a down year for those 2 teams, this year the Niners are the dominant team. The Niners and the Eagles have been dominant, but the Niners have been a whole different level of dominance. They've dominated the Seahawks, the Jaguars, the Lions. Now, none of those teams would you consider any of those teams in the category of, the Chiefs, the Bills? The Jaguars are 8-3. They've been a very strong football team. The Lions not looking good lately, but at the time they didn't play the Lions. Hold up. No, I apologize. They dominated the Cowboys. They dominated the Bucs. Well, the score doesn't look like it, but that game never felt close. Dominated the Seahawks. Dominated the Jaguars. And the Eagles have not put on a performance like that all year long. Their most dominant performance of the year, I would say, was versus the Vikings. And that's when the Vikings were, not playing their best football. Kirk was playing, yeah, but they weren't playing their best football. But now, you're playing a football team that they're clicking on all cylinders, and the Eagles aren't. They're still trying to figure it out. There's still something that's not quite right. And I think this game is going to be a shootout. It's going to be a great game to watch. But the Niners have been dominant. They've been executing. And Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, they're going to be able to scheme around and overcome the bad offensive line play by the Niners. The offensive line play has not been good for the Niners. It's been pretty bad. And you're saying, it's a good advantage for the Eagles, but Brock Purdy and the way this offense is built, they get they could get they could get the ball out quick to CMC, Debo, Ayuk. All of those guys can make big plays after the catch. Jennings, they all have some really strong playmakers here. And the Eagles do as well. The Eagles are capable of dominating, but something just is not quite right. Once again, you look back at the Bills and the Chiefs game. The Bills game, there was a miscommunication between Josh Allen and Gabe Davis that would have been the game. The Chiefs, it was a drop pass for MVS that would have, maybe gave the Chiefs the win. Because there still would have been lots of time for the Eagles to go down and score a touchdown. Or kick a field goal. But the Niners are the more dominant team. They've shown dominance like the Eagles have not. The Eagles have been in a lot of close games. Really close games with the Commanders. Really close games with the the Bills and the Chiefs. And the Bills are very good. And the Bills and Chiefs are very good football teams. But you cannot afford to go down 10 points and, try and rely on some of that magic. Try and rely on some of that versus the Niners. The Niners won't allow magic to happen. But both teams are on emotional highs, and that's a big factor going to the game. One of these teams are going to break emotionally. Who is that going to be? And I think the Niners are going to come out on top. After a big thrilling overtime win versus the Buffalo Bills being down by 10. A big win versus the Chiefs being down by 10. I think the Niners are going to win this one, man. I think the Niners are going to take it because they've been the more dominant team. Brock Purdy and that offense are going to be able to do what they're going to need to do. The Niners are probably going to be able to stop the run. It's much easier said than done. But, Hargrave, Chase Young, they have some wild talent on the defensive line. Nick Bosa. This Eagles offensive line better come to play. As they usually do. They better come to play this week, if at all. All right. Next matchup. Packers at home taking on the Chiefs. So, Packers, man, it feels like Jordan Love and their offense has been getting it going a little bit. But unfortunately, this week they're playing one of the better passing defenses in the league in the Chiefs. And that's why I have the Chiefs winning this one. I think the Chiefs defense is going to be a difference in this one, as the Chiefs defense has been the difference for them in a lot of games. But the Chiefs also got they got their offense going last week a little bit. Putting up 31 points. Mahomes making some big plays. Rashee Rice stepped up. He made some big plays. So it's nice to see that from Rashee Rice, and nice to see that this Chiefs team were finally able to find, some kind of version of them, of their old selves. Because now teams are going to have to watch out for Rashee Rice a little bit. You have to watch out for Travis Kelce. And it starts to make it that much more difficult for defenses. But I don't think the Chiefs, whether or not the Chiefs get the passing game going, they're not going to have to pass the ball to win this game. But, the Chiefs want to pass the ball, and they're a pass-first team. That's what they're best at. But they're going to be able to pound the football against the Packers. The Packers shouldn't be able to stop the run in this one. Just run the football 30, 40, 30. Obviously, the Chiefs won't do that. They're just not that team. But all you have to do this game is run the football, Chiefs. That's all you have to do. And then that's only going to make it easier for the passing game. So I would not be shocked if the Chiefs put up 30+. They should. 2 weeks in a row. Really getting back to themselves. But, yeah, the Packers, I don't think the offense is going to be able to do enough. Passing defense for the Chiefs is too good. And the Chiefs running game going to keep the offense off the field. So I have the Chiefs taking this one. And 6 points. They're giving 6 points to the Packers. I'm surprised it wasn't more. I put a lot of money on the Chiefs in this one. Absolutely. 100%. They should absolutely win by more than 6. I wouldn't be shocked if they won by more than 10 or 15 at that because, the passing defense is very good. Jordan Love has had 2 really good games, but could he keep it going? We'll see. Last but not least, Jaguars are favored by 8.5 at home, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. I have the Jaguars winning 27-16. Their defense has been dominant. Their run defense has been incredible. They're going to get after Jake Browning. They're going to make it difficult on him to get the ball out to his receivers. Now, I don't know if T. Higgins is going to be back this week or not, but still you have Jamar Chase, Charlie Jones, Tyler Boyd. You still have some really big-time playmakers either way. T. Higgins is back. If T. Higgins is back, that's even better. But it's not going to be enough. Jake Browning is only going to be able to do so much. So much. This Jags defense is going to be on it. They've been really good the past couple weeks. Did a really good job versus C.J. Stroud. And they gave the Titans offense fits. So I don't think the Jaguars should have too much of an issue with this one. But 8.5, that's a lot. There's a lot. It's a big spread for a game that could be close. I don't think it should be. Jaguars are at home. I think this is an easy one to overthink, which I am doing now. But the Jaguars should have no issue in this one. They should have no issue. Now, Trevor Lawrence, they should be able to run the ball really well with Travis Etienne. They shouldn't have too much of an issue running the football. Bengals are one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. Get the run game going. Get Trevor Lawrence to make a couple big passes to Calvin Ridley or Ingram or whoever. Jaguars should dominate this game. They should dominate. So, all right, guys. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to our NFL Week 13 picks, predictions, giving my thoughts on the spreads, and if you should throw some money on some teams or not. That's all I got for you today. It's a JW. First, if you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you can see future videos. This is the JDW Sports Talk Show. Signing off.